I don't think marriage should be about money, but some people value money more than anything else. My sister-in-law, Selena, was one of them. I never thought that after my brother, a well-known surgeon, died, greed would take over an inheritance. I'm Mary Smith, a jewelry store manager who is happy to be 31 and single, but with the latest proposal from a lover due to our age difference. My older brother Tyler, a well-known surgeon in Tokyo, has always been both a mentor and a protector. When he learns of my upcoming nuptials, he gestures about screening potential suitors as I consider getting married. Tensions are simmering beneath the surface as our families come together tomorrow to celebrate our engagement. If he were my father, I would laugh at him, but there's a glimmer of worry underneath his humor. Tyler's own marriage to Selena, a stunningly beautiful woman with dubious morals, is a prime example of the conflict between appearance and substance despite their glitzy exterior. Family ties are strained by Selena's materialistic tendencies. Her desire for luxury frequently takes precedence over obligations, leaving us disappointed and irritated at first. We excused Selena's behavior by blaming it on the pressures of her appearance. But as her indifference to family grew, we could no longer tolerate it. Her last-minute cancellation of tomorrow's meeting in favor of afternoon tea at a famous hotel is a prime example of her selfishness, and we wouldn't mind it if she didn't show up. It's her absence, that consideration, that most irritates me. I tried to confide in my brother, but his affection for Selena prevented any meaningful conversation. He apologized for the inconvenience and promised to address her behavior. I'll be there tomorrow. He persuaded me to let the matter rest, which is what irritates me the most. I refuse to be at her whim and call forever accommodating her whims. Not only is Selena self-centered, but she also coerces my busy brother into saying sorry for her doing errands and sending messages on her behalf, even though he is a full-time homemaker. Selena hires cleaners to do housework and chooses to eat out because her schedule is centered around buying branded goods, leaving little time for real duties the following day. The family meeting went well, with my boyfriend winning everyone over. It seemed like a lovely affair, but it was short-lived. That evening, as I was wrapping up the day's activities, Selena's unexpected call broke the peace. She erupted into a tirade, demanding macarons and scones while scolding me for my alleged carelessness. I tried to reason with her, but even after I tried to explain, she continued to screech. Due to Selena's excessive demands and tantrums, what started out as a joyous evening ended in tiredness and anger. Selena persisted in her demands without reasoning, and her insistence on a hotel souvenir left me perplexed and drained. Selena's outward charm was evident, but her inner self-centeredness left much to be desired. Tyler wondered if he could ever find comfort in his daily routine amid her unpredictable emotional changes. My worry for Tyler persisted as I wondered if her upbringing had spoiled her because of her appearance. But I knew better than to criticize him and his marital affairs because it was his decision, and he has always agreed with me. The next day, as I was serving customers at the jewelry store, I noticed Selena outside arm in arm with a man who looked about her age and was probably in his late 20s. Their friendly conversation as they entered the store caught my attention, and I hesitated before going up to them. When I asked Selena about her partner, she casually dismissed him as an old friend from her modeling days, but the sight of them together, especially given her marital status, left me perplexed and uneasy. As Selena looked at the jewelry, she boldly asked about employee discounts, which made me feel even more uncomfortable. Though she was a little annoyed at the realization, Selena made her choices and left her companion to pay the bill. Their dynamic left me. I was unaware of her inappropriate behavior and refused to entertain her boldness, so I gently told her that such discounts weren't available. In reality, I couldn't bear the idea of her companion buying things for her. I plucked up the guts to tell Tyler what I had noticed about their connection that evening, but his serious demeanor suggested that something was seriously bothering him. Sensing his anguish, I asked Tyler what was wrong. I had a persistent suspicion about Selena, but I decided not to tell him. When I brought up the subject of my impending wedding, he appeared. He asked me to save for our wedding next year, but he didn't give me a clear answer on Selena's involvement because he was too busy with his own plans. I tried to share wedding details with him, but his indecision left me wondering. Tyler remained evasive. His sudden exit from the call and his ambiguous request to meet at our parents' house left me wondering if he wasn't feeling wonderful. Tyler is a committed surgeon who frequently puts the health of others before his own. Although he laughs about the risks of his job, I couldn't get rid of the sensation that his relentless schedule was wearing him down. Because Selena was so self-centered, I didn't think she could offer him the support he needed. Tyler sent me a follow-up email regarding the gathering schedule at our parents' house, and while about there, I was worried about Selena's recent behavior. I described how his complexion was worse than I had ever seen it, and I asked him about it, but he gave me evasive answers about how busy he was at work. A young man in my store asking whether Tyler was being duped once more. I've been too preoccupied with work to give Selena much attention, but her infidelity past has long been a worry of mine, and her absence from the gathering gave me the ideal time to bring it up. Our parents were furious, though, and my brother acknowledged it. Selena isn't here today, which is why I asked you all to come. I have a favor to ask, Tyler said sadly when I asked him about Selena's well-being. Tyler said something startling, and even though we couldn't believe it, his position stayed firm, leaving us speechless. Tragic events occurred 3 months later when my brother passed away from stomach cancer as a result of relentless overwork and stress. Despite his commitment to saving others, Tyler ignored his own health, which was a painful realization. Despite his suffering, Tyler recognized the symptoms and underwent a taxing examination that showed his disease. We felt regret and wished he had told us sooner. At his funeral, we were overcome with a deep sense of powerlessness. My head was filled with recollections of Tyler. His unwavering support during my childhood hardships and setbacks, coupled with his untimely passing before turning 40, left us struggling with sadness and uncertainty. But in the midst of our grief, when Selena was wearing the gaudy necklace that she had bought from my store as a present from another man, her behavior was glaringly obvious. Her heartless behavior on the summer occasion was inexcusable and served as a terrible reminder of her self-centeredness, turning my sadness into rage. Unable to fathom Selena's boldness, I confronted her. "Why are you wearing that?" I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. "Did you not realize how much my brother loved you?" Selena, who seemed unconcerned, responding to my charge with a deceptive grin. Naturally, I am aware that she responded nonchalantly, "But if you're unhappy, why did you marry me? That's just the way life is." Under Selena's self-centered exterior, her disrespect for my brother's memory was painfully apparent, and much as I yearned for her to suffer penalties, her heartless remarks pierced deeply, and I found it difficult to control my outrage in front of my brother, our parents, and the other NERs. Callously, she kept complaining about their relationships ending. Her cavalier attitude toward marriage and her expectation of inheritance left me furious. Before I could control myself, my hand went to slap her, but a man at her side stopped me. As I noticed him, he identified himself as a nurse who had worked with Tyler and had been sent to protect me at his request. My mind was clouded by confusion as I tried to make sense of the situation. Despite my suffering, the laughter from the nurses and doctors who were present at my late brother's funeral gave me a moment of solace amidst the chaos. I turned to the man who broke up the nurses' laughter to get clarity. The misunderstanding, I knew the truth all too well. My brother hadn't left a single yen of his inheritance, but Selena didn't know this, so she went into hysteria and accused us of conspiring to defraud her and take the money for ourselves. His response was direct. "Did the doctor leave any inheritance behind? Your family should know." Disclosure of Tyler's wealth. Assured of her upcoming windfall, the nurse's amusement escalated to plain frenzy as Selena's tide reached a fever pitch. Sensing that something needed to be done, my father moved forward with a calm but stern voice. "Do you truly not know?" he asked impatiently. When Selena insisted on an explanation, I grudgingly provided my brother's financial. In addition to other gifts, he had generously set aside 10 million yen for my wedding fund during his lifetime. As the truth set in, Selena's complexion changed from blue to white. Despite being respected for his expertise, my brother had a tendency to spend extravagantly to relieve stress, and lavish parties, exclusive dinners, and opulent lodgings depleted all of his resources. Despite his generosity and desire to share these experiences with Selena, she was noticeably absent from his trials and victories. To find solace in the face of his demanding career and familial obligations, he turned to his colleagues and friends, who were now gathered to say goodbye to the nurses. Their laughter faded as they reminisced about my brother's generosity and kindness, and how, in spite of his hectic schedule, he found time to take care of them by inviting them to memorable parties. Their respect for him only grew, and as they talked, I discovered that, in his last act of kindness, he had given the General Hospital representatives, who were appreciative of his contribution, gave the remainder of his fortune to the hospital. They said goodbye, stating that their annual battles with research funds would be resolved, guaranteeing improved medical care in the future. I was overcome with a sense of disappointment for Selena as he had impacted countless lives, but months later, Selena, who ought to have been closest to him, showed selfishness and greed by contacting me in a demanding manner in an attempt to secure her inheritance. However, her negligent management of the estate exposed a startling reality. Despite my brother's substantial earnings, his assets had been exhausted in her quest for the mansion and other assets. Selena had failed to pay Tyler's bills, leaving her only a small portion of what she had expected. Despite claiming to care for my brother, her actions revealed her true intentions, and her cry for help was ignored when I reminded her that our familial ties had been severed with Tyler's death. How can you expect that after being so self-centered until I get you out of trouble? I then responded to Selena, who was clearly impatient as she struggled with the unexpected fact that she would be inheriting the mansion and responsibilities as part of her debt's bequest. I sternly told her that she may choose to forego the inheritance within 3 months of learning about it, and my suggestion that she sell the opulent things she had accumulated only made her cry and thrilled. Forgiveness from Selena, but I couldn't bring myself to comfort her even though she apologized. I ended the call because I couldn't make sense of her behavior in light of my brother's memories. After my brother passed away, my wedding was postponed by a year, and my husband and in-laws, who noticed my persistent depression, offered support and understanding. I vowed not to let my late brother down. Live a life of thankfulness by supporting those who supported me during the wedding. My brother's popularity was demonstrated when coworkers paid their respects at his grave after learning of his generosity to his coworkers. I was concerned that his generosity might be taken advantage of, but the sincere outpouring of support showed that it wasn't the case, while rumors of Selena's demise were circulating in the jewelry industry. She had to sell her mansion due to her lavish spending and dubious relationships, which contrasted sharply with my brother's kindness. Now, she makes a living in modest quarters while dealing with rising debt and thinking back on Selena's misfortunes. Despite everything I felt vindicated in, I thought that getting married for financial gain was incorrect. I promised to respect my brother's memories by preserving his legacy in the same way that he had always kept me safe.